Welcome to Trendy Words, the podcast about the meaningless, misleading, and nonsense words we use in business marketing and what we can do about them. My name is Andrew, copywriter and an advocate that you should stop getting in the way of your business making money. And today we're doing something a bit different. This is the last episode of this year, so we're going to be looking at all of the dumb words in summary that are in vogue in 2025. To accomplish this monumental task, I'm joined today by my guest, Jon McGreevy. Hi, John.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing really well. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's lovely to chat to you again.
Right. So I've known John for a little while, but for anybody that's maybe not seen your face or listened to you on your own podcast, would you like to maybe give a bit of an introduction?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a SaaS copywriter. In particular, I focus a lot on positioning as a specialism for me. I've also recently launched a new case study business called Best Case Studio, where I've partnered with a video editor to offer case study packages to people. I'm also the co-host of Sassy as Fuck, the SaaS podcast, who I co-hosted with the video editor I just mentioned then. But we are wrapping that, or have wrapped that up now, at least for the foreseeable future.
And I could say this, I realize I'm plugging somebody else's podcast, but John's podcast is a great listen. If you have any interest in marketing within the tech or software space, especially, you owe it to yourself to go and give Sassy as Fuck a listen.
Yeah,
there's your free promotion for the episode.
I appreciate that a lot. If it was you say Summer Aways, would she been the last episode or the episode before?
2 episodes. So when
episodes
we were recording this, Summer would have been episode 10.
Got you. So if you listen to this and you listen to Summer's episode and you enjoyed that, we interviewed her as well, and it was a great. So you would have enjoyed her chatting with Andrew. You'd enjoy her chatting to us as well.
I will maybe make a note to put that in the show notes.
Nice.
When this episode goes live. So yeah. Okay. So 2025. I feel
what a year.
It's a hell of a year. Let's start with the thing that, quite frankly, I was surprised that none of my guests chose to talk about, but the thing that has been so loud in the room that is virtually impossible to ignore, and that is
the self-proclaimed artificial intelligence, which my biggest pet peeve about AI, by the way, is that it's not a real thing. AI doesn't exist yet. AI is just a marketing term. What we're talking about is LLMs and
machine
chat
learning
interfaces and machine learning and this bullshit. And people have been tricked into thinking it's genuine AI, which it isn't, and you've been fooled.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There are people like me and John out there that have essentially thrown a lot of money and a lot of effort into normalizing using AI, and I'd agree. It's done a lot. I think I was definitely from earlier on. I've been like, especially like this was well before OpenAI was even something that we really talked about. But a lot of it was machine learning, because a lot of these generative tools existed well before 2022. I'm trying to think of there was definitely a couple of companies out there that were selling automated text generation before that. Some of them I believe were built on OpenAI's GPT-2, if I remember correctly. And even back then, everyone was just like, this isn't really AI. And they, I think, much more correctly said this is machine learning, because that is legitimately what it is. You've got a machine to essentially, assimilate and, essentially pattern match human speech in a way that, for what it's worth, it does actually work, which not to diminish the feat of engineering of just accomplishing that. But it's not intelligent.
It's fantastic software, and the thing that bugs about it isn't that it's not brilliant technology, because it absolutely is, and it's amazing, and it's confusing, and it's dumbfounding, and it's life changing. But at the same time, it's treated, because it's talked about in a way, calling it intelligence is an insult to intelligence, and especially when we're talking about generative AI. And this is the thing as well: when we talk about AI, a lot of people think of ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, and they're generative AI. They're things that will spit things back at you, which is really the shittest use case for it. It's much better analyzing data and
Yep.
finding patterns and all these. There's so many different things, especially so much potential in the world of medicine and all these different like areas that are much more complicated, like finance and cybersecurity and
Mhm.
stuff like that, that will use AI technology or LLM technology much better. But because it's been put in this chatbot very cleverly, and then people now think AI is just a little chatbot that talks back to you. It's like, Clippy has come back from the dead, and this time he is a weird sycophant.
Yeah, Clippy, back from the grave. Just when we thought that you were long dead and gone, you have come back to us, and he speaks in the voice of Sam Altman.
Yeah, yeah, and it's creepy, and
Yeah,
it changes. And people have I know I'm not gonna like people. The fact that people are getting so invested and people like
right. Well,
treating it as like an entrusted confidant
yeah,
is
and
terrifying.
it's treated as if I feel like this is maybe stretching it a bit, but I think there's an awful lot of people that still that treat it. They're wowed by it, that they're willing to treat it like magic, which is such
Yeah,
a bizarre thing to think about. We are surrounded by engineers and developers and some really, really clever people that seem to have all been caught up in this idea that magic is real all of a sudden. So, spoiler alert, magic is not real. It's all, yeah, physics, engineering, or in the transformer technology that underpins the chatbots. It's mathematics. It's basically basic calculus.
and I thought we were at a point where I think we were close about 3 or 4 years ago, where there was a general growing distrust of tech companies, of
Mm.
Facebook and Google and all these different companies, and like of going like, be careful, don't give them all your data and photos and stuff because you don't know what they'll do with it. And that distrust has just gone away again. Everyone's now just giving OpenAI their deepest, darkest secrets and being like, yeah, it'll be fine. There's no. I'm just telling ChatGPT, not realizing it's just going into a database in
Mhm.
Silicon Valley that can be accessed and manipulated and used to trick you and sell to
Yeah,
you. And
and
I feel like that distrust that we should have that was coming in has immediately gone away because people gone, oh, that's pretty cool. It talks back to me like a person, which
yeah,
is,
and now there's the shocked Pikachu face when it's coming out very evidently like, yes, they keep everything that you tell the bot, and the police are allowed to view that too,
yeah, and it lies as well. People
and it
don't
lies.
just trust it
Yes.
with data; they trust that the answers it does. So people are just trusting people. It literally hallucinates and makes things up. And people, I did see a post from a very fair play to a copywriter who was very honest, and I think she posted on LinkedIn that she got caught out because she used ChatGPT and it made up some links, and she included these links in copy or content she created for a client, and the client said, "Hey, these aren't real sources." And fair play for being honest about LinkedIn, but at the same time, who's not checking sources? If ChatGPT tells you anything, check it, verify it. But you gotta treat ChatGPT like that drunk guy in the pub rambling in the corner and go, "Oh, that's interesting," but I don't believe him until I've verified it for myself. We can't trust this technology because it's known to lie. It's a feature.
Yeah. Is it a hot take at this point to basically say if your marketer isn't checking sources, they're not a very good marketer?
I think it's. I was trying to be more diplomatic now, which is not really
I'm gonna
like
be
me.
slightly undiplomatic. The inner Canadian in me is coming out. I can't help it.
I respect that for once in a conversation I'm the diplomatic one, but I will double down and agree with you that yeah, I mean, if you're a writer and you are submitting work that you haven't checked and verified, come on, we need to get your shit together.
Yeah, like that's like really like the whole cornerstone. And I'm be concerned about, if we want to bring it back to ourselves, about like that that makes all of us look bad. Because if that becomes a trend where you find that a company hires a copywriter or any kind of marketer and comes to now having to be suspicious that they're just going to completely fabricate things.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it is happening.
yeah.
Right? There are a lot of copywriters who do use it a lot, and like, don't get me wrong, it can be very good at certain tasks. Research and analyzing data and identifying
Mm,
trends. I mentioned before can be a very important part of copywriting. I use AI tools to save me time,
yep.
but it's not a copywriter. It can't write original copy your ideas and stuff. All it can do is copy other people, and so you can't. So I would be very wary of anyone who is submitting AI generated copy. But yeah, it's definitely more of a case now. And there are definitely more and more cases I know of copywriters where people have said, "Oh, this looks like ChatGPT wrote it," and I think I'd be sick if someone said that about my writing. I'd be
Yeah.
because because it's even worse if it didn't. All it's doing is basically it's become now code for. Well, this is generic as fuck.
Yeah, and the thing that I really realized, and like this was an interesting thing that I think I was thinking about a year ago, and I'm still thinking about it now, was that I'm wondering if on some level, because if we work on the assumption that these chatbots, like their knowledge base is essentially the average of the content of the internet,
Mm.
the average was pretty shit before, if this is what we ended up with. And I think on some level, the reason that we are flaming these tools so hard is that when this shit was actually being written by human beings, we had a social or a psychological block to calling it out because it's ultimately basically telling other human beings that your work is shit, and that makes you feel bad and is not a positive atmosphere that you're trying to grow with people that you might consider to be your peers and colleagues. But now that we've got it on the bot, we have no problem criticizing the machine. But essentially, it is still the average. This is all of the really like cringy and awful language that we've, as marketers and copywriters, have been railing against for pretty much, I want to say, like the last 20 years. That's basically just seeped into everything. And we said it was pretty crap then, but we said it quietly because we didn't want to upset people. And now that it's basically all being delivered for basically subsidized by Silicon Valley investors onto a bot, we have no compunctions about turning around and saying, it's like, this was shit. It was shit before, but now that the bot's saying it, we can say it loudly.
Yeah, because it's trained on those. It's trained on those blog posts where 10 years ago someone was going, right, here's a list of 800 keywords you need to include in this blog post.
Yeah.
Make sure you include this word 7 times. This word, like there have always been hack writers, and there have always been hack articles, and SEO caused a boom in those generic blog posts that say nothing and have no position stuff. So it's just doing a very good impression of the shit articles that already exist,
Yeah.
and the shit writing, and the point, like, bland copywriting on especially things like SaaS and tech,
Yeah.
where it all looks and sounds the same. That's not an AI problem. That's a problem that's been going on for 20 years that now AI is doing a damn good impression
Yeah,
of. Is that sure if it talks in
averaged it
cliches?
and packaged it and sold it to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, so congratulations, welcome to how the rest of us felt in marketing for the last 20 years, all compressed into, what are we at? It's only been 3 years, right? 22, 23, yeah. So yeah, 4 years now of these chatbots being widely available.
By the way, and it's 4 years since I became a copywriter as well, and I chose an awesome time to get into an industry that has been immediately devalued by a cacked chatbot.
Yeah, but this is we are truly living the goofiest timeline, I think, at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty. I talked to copywriters who've around for a while, and obviously you've been around for longer than I have in the industry, and there's an air of back in the day. You kind of just won work by people knowing you were a copywriter. People just like went, and that was it was actually quite straightforward for a lot of people. I think if you were a good enough copywriter, you just got work because people heard, "Oh, hire Andrew, he's a good copywriter." And the industry kind of changed in the last few years as I joined, annoyingly. And I think part of this came from the pandemic. A lot more copywriters came into the industry after the pandemic, including me.
Yep.
And then AI came in at the same time. And so for the last 4 years, like those two phenomena, the pandemic, then AI, has kind of flooded this market and made it hard. And so I think a lot of copywriters who, for years, didn't really ever struggle to find work. Now it's a really struggling. People have to find new ways of doing it, and it's actually it's been quite a painful time for a lot of people who are struggling. It's been like this year for me has been like miserable in that sense, and I know a lot of people have the same thing. I think it's not all AI's fault, but it's the mindset towards copy. It's continuing the cheapening of copy that was existing
Yeah,
before.
and it spreads some of the wankiest phrases that we've been sort of pushing back against for ages. Like the number of posts now that where I just it could very well be written by a person, but now that's the other thing is it undermines my trust in other people's writing. And the
Yeah,
moment that I see something that sounds a little bit cliched, like in this ever-changing world of, which see it so much,
yeah.
especially on LinkedIn and
The
corporate
first line
websites
of
now.
LinkedIn post or a blog post will like
Yeah, when it's written that way, it's been so overdone that it's essentially words that previously would have gone through like a popularity cycle over like a 6 or 7 year period have now essentially been compressed into we're now pushing back like how long is like this whole thing about the M dash been around for? That's been only probably about 10 months old.
I only learned the M dash when I
Yeah,
came into copywriting. I learned it. I was like, oh, cool! What a great, useful device that is. And
yeah,
then in the last year, it's been ruined for me. I will continue to use it. I don't care. The M dash is
yeah.
brilliant. But
Jokes on you. I never really used the M dash. I use the N dash for a lot of things,
oh, fuck the N dash. It's aesthetically displeasing to me. I don't like the N dash. I have a vendetta against the N
which
dash,
is
and it
weird.
does.
Which is weird because I found a lot of people confused, I think, the N dash with the M dash. And when you show them the M dash for the first time, being like, why is it so long?
But
Because they
it's the
were under
long that
like,
makes it
this is
look so
longer than a
nice,
hyphen.
Andrew.
And they thought that was the M dash. No, 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 no. The N dash, it comes in three sizes. You have your hyphen, then your N dash, which is a bit longer, and then the M dash, which is the longest. I think if my Twitter account still exists, I took it down because I just had enough of it. Had like a post of Bing being like, for your information, this is this is a hyphen, this is an N dash, this is an M dash.
Because in this
Because
case,
it was
isn't
just
it
the
like
number
the
of times that I was having that really silly conversation with people.
yeah? So I think
And
the
and
end. I
now,
think
and
the
now
end.
and now look, it's the thing that apparently gets you noticed on LinkedIn. And I'm just like, yeah, again, the goofy timeline.
Well, LinkedIn is the thing that kind of. This is something that talking about 2025 and the themes that have occurred. AI is obviously a big one. You can't do it. And it is amazing you've gone 10 episodes without it being coming up. I feel bad for being the one to break that streak because that would have been impressive to keep. But you talk about LinkedIn and that this year, I never loved LinkedIn. It was never like my favorite place to be. It's still
Mm.
very, and it's always been to a degree disingenuous. But this year, every post feels disingenuous for one of two reasons. One is obviously a lot of it's written by AI now, and
Mm.
it's quite clear at times. And even though some people just go, oh yeah, but I gave it clear instructions. Like I don't give a shit if you're doing AI generated image, it looks just cheap. And I'm not going to read your post. And if it's
Mm.
the text, it kind of quite clear early on. But even still, because only a few topics have really got much traction. The M dash is a great example.
Yeah.
Is that it became such a big thing because it's seemingly the only thing LinkedIn would show anyone is posts about M dashes, and so that became so everyone was kind of like either they were they either creating an opinion one way or the other. One would be like, oh, I know you're using AI because using an M dash, whereas other people were like, oh no, I'm a writer, especially because we've got writers in our community and in marketing. There's a lot of writers. People saying, you can take the M dash from my cold dead hands. And you see people then post other things that won't get much traction. Then they'll write again about the M dash, or they'll write about AI and stuff like that. And the problem is that people, I feel like so many posts write like they're written to get engagement, not to say anything worthwhile.
Right. And the thing is, it's just arguing over the M dash doesn't make our clients any money.
No, I know.
Yeah.
There's nothing about anything. It's
Yeah.
all LinkedIn has become very much about vanity metrics. It feels like anyway, is that
Mm.
people aren't saying stuff to say something meaningful about like giving actual value to people. And some people, there's still a small group of people who are still, obviously, but
Yep.
so many posts I see just seem to be going, right, how do I get engagement? How do I get people to pat me on the back and say, good job today? And
Yeah.
I've fallen traps for when I've been really down mental health wise. There's definitely times I've written a
Yeah.
post that's gone like, this will get people to rub my back and tell me I'm a good boy because that's what I want on this day. But most of the things I see, and it's either that's because most people are doing it, or because that's all LinkedIn is trying to show me is people tickling its balls to get that engagement by doing it the right way.
Mm. I feel like that there's a word that we should focus on here that maybe doesn't get said a lot, but I feel like underruns a lot of what we're talking about, which is talking about the algorithm and
Yeah.
like how much especially marketing has been sort of beholden to and sort of treats the algorithm as it's this sort of is inevitable, all powerful thing. We don't really have a discussion enough about that. Nobody ever we. I think somebody pointed it out the other day, which is basically the problem is that algorithms are also an opinion.
Yeah.
They're an opinion rendered as code for what we think people want to read or what we think or responding to behavior on the platform is. And some of the opinions are kind of shite because we're
This,
not getting any more, and we're not getting better value out of them.
no,
They're
and
they're not they're just making everything feel worse.
and people treat it in a way in the same way that with AI, and it's the same problem there. Is that people talk about AI as if it's this alien thing that landed 3 years ago and has been this like thing that we interact with. No, it's a bunch of Silicon Valley knobheads putting their own biases and opinions and wanting it and crafting it to work how they want it. You're like Elon Musk saying, "I'm going to make it X or whatever. What's this one called? Grok. I'm going to make
Mm.
Grok anti woke." No, it just lies now about stuff. That's what it does. He's just shitter at hiding his biases. But all these tech
Yeah.
companies have them, and the algorithm's the same. Like you say, it's not some magical box where the algorithm is its own thing, thinking and stuff. No. It's that somebody has sat there and gone, some project manager or some product owner somewhere has gone, okay, we want to push these kind of posts more because that gets more traffic to our site so
Yep.
we can advertise things more and we can get more revenue. Because actually, if LinkedIn just served the people on LinkedIn, the ads won't mean as much. They won't get as much revenue. It won't be as
Yep.
much valuable to them because people will just get work and they won't post there. They'll just interact. It'll just be a nice networking site like it used to be. It's
Yep.
owned by Microsoft who wants to make money. So all it is what they want is the more people with it open on their phone, more people
Yep.
having it open on their tablet. And so to do that, it's about in the same thing as TikTok, saying that you just want people to have it open as much as possible. And so it creates this illusion of this magical algorithm that you need to please and things. And everything you read about how to get more engagement on LinkedIn or grow on LinkedIn is like, okay, make sure you go and engage with 50 people before you
Yep.
post, and then you spend an hour doing
And,
this, and afterwards you comment. And
it's
it's
all
not
based on the idea that you need to game the algorithm.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's not
Yeah.
gaming algorithm. It's gaming some pieces of code in a config file somewhere that some
Yep.
developers are tweaking. And if you nail it this week, it'll probably change next week anyway. Like lots of people
Yep.
found this year is that in around spring something changed on LinkedIn, and all of a sudden the post that would previously get in front of their following
Yep.
doesn't matter how people can have 50,000 followers, and it'd be shown to 20 people
Yep.
because LinkedIn has decided that topic isn't worth doing. Why are we not questioning what LinkedIn is deciding doing that? It's because it's not a magical, like you say, the algorithm we don't talk about that much, or when we do talk about it, it's talked about as being this like all-seeing god of social media, but
Yep.
it isn't. It's just people deciding things, and if your post isn't making it, it's because somebody has decided that your post doesn't deserve it. Not looking at it piece by piece, but they've written
Yep.
something that says if it mentions this word or if it doesn't talk about these topics and that, then fuck it, who
Yeah,
cares?
and it comes out and basically being like there's so little value. And the other thing that I feel like that has also come with that, with this, I'm going to call it tinkering because that was the way it looks from the outside. It
Yeah,
looks like there was that big change to the algorithm, yeah, around what did you say, March, and ever
yeah,
since then, it's kind of been evident that they're clearly not happy with it because they keep tinkering with it, they keep changing things, so it becomes unreliable. And that shows up not just in like the weirdness of the content that people put out, but also like a really like a massive free fall in the quality of advertising. Like
yeah.
supposedly they're supposed to be collecting some kind of data on me that personalizes the ads that I'm supposed to see on the platform. I don't know what, like I think feel like they must have confused me with somebody else because the ads that I see served to me on LinkedIn could not be farther away from my interests as a person.
Yeah.
I feel like for all of this big data, you've had like I've been on LinkedIn now for like a solid like upwards of like 15 years, being like, you have lots of data on what I should be like as a person, and at least being able to get really basic things back about what I might be interested in
Yeah.
buying. Certainly, other platforms don't seem to struggle with this nearly as much as LinkedIn does. And you can't even manage that. So it's
Yeah,
just like we're
yeah.
giving all of this data to you, and you're fumbling it anyways. So, oh, yeah,
Yeah, it knows all this stuff, and it's still not. I don't know. I think it's trying to just focus on. There must be something. There's something to do with revenue they're trying to do where it means that I think they care less and less about the users being seen and reaching other people and actually being a networking site. It is more concerned with more being like TikTok stuff where it tries to work out. No, we'll find the best content for you. Doesn't matter who you follow.
yeah,
Not that it will just go by what other people are engaging with and kind of push that on you. And it becomes less fun. It becomes less of a business tool, and it means that it pushes you to use their paid tools. Like I've got LinkedIn, whatever it's called, Sales
yeah,
Navigator, and I hate that I have to. But I think that's the only way of getting value from LinkedIn, because now I can actually kind of
yeah.
search my network more accurately. But yeah,
Yeah, and
it's changed a lot.
I paid for it, and I just finding that it didn't measurably improve anything. So I'm spending all of this money on LinkedIn, and I'm not really getting a better result.
Yeah, I mainly use it for the filtering and targeting. It means I'm a
Well,
bit
yeah,
better at finding my market in
yeah.
theory. But that's
In
really
theory,
it.
although the number of times that I've talked to recruiters and other people like in the called HR industry generally that are quite frankly are also fed up with about it because they can't. This is LinkedIn is first and foremost. I thought like recruiters are supposed to really be like the core customer for LinkedIn, and they're unhappy with it.
Oh,
Um,
it's now a social
they're
media
unhappy with
platform.
it. The C-suite's unhappy with it, and the like senior engineers because they can't find any of the things that they actually want to read about on the platform, and the recruiters can't find the people that they want, and they put up a job posting and they get 1,000 AI generated applications. To the point where, like, I kid you not, I've had one recruiter say, "You know what? I think I'd rather prefer just getting paper, like printed CV sent to me in the mail rather than having to engage with this."
But
So
then they'll get lots of
that's
AI generated printed CVs sent to them in the
yeah.
mail.
I mean, but I feel like that's less likely to happen because you now have to actually put quite a bit more effort into doing that if you had to print it. But yeah,
There's
I
an
guess
extra
that
layer of friction.
yeah,
Friction,
yeah.
yeah, extra layer of friction does that.
And that's I think part of the problem is the fact that LinkedIn has done so much, especially with its AI implementation, and the way that it's built its algorithm with this idea that if we could just reduce friction, everything would work well. But it's having the opposite effect. By reducing friction, you are making things worse. And
Yeah,
it was the quality of outcomes was better by adding a sufficient amount of friction that people would actually put some effort into it because of
mm.
yeah, which is like really sort of a like fundamental element of human psychology that we as marketers use a lot of the time. But it yeah, apparently LinkedIn never got the memo on that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And then at the same time, we've got like just the I guess like there's like the third point within that as far as like the state of marketing is concerned is like all of this is basically amounted to everything feeling significantly more disingenuous and
yeah,
undermining a lot of this kind of goes back to the problem of not checking your sources, but it does damage the trust that people previously had even for poorly written things online because they might be poorly written, but most of the time their sourcing was at least understandable if not necessarily wholly accurate,
yeah.
and
I
now that's
you
really
almost
difficult to do.
I mind the corporate disingenuousness less than I do. Obviously, as freelancers, a lot of ours is like a personal brand.
Mm,
For example, is like a thing
yes.
we're told to have and stuff. And the problem as well is that is I think we've got a point now where not that many people are being very honest about it. What I've seen is when I have private conversations with a lot of people are struggling, having a bad time, or they're having to change a lot of their business. And, the industry has changed a lot and it's impacted them negatively, their mental health, their business, their finances, in the same way it has for me this year and for a lot of people. It's been a very challenging time. but you wouldn't know it based on a lot of people on LinkedIn and it's on other social media. People act like, and I guess it's that whole fake it till you make it mentality that some people seem to take, and it's fair. And we all do it to a degree. We try and appear more successful than we are to imply confidence. But I feel like so many people talk as if like, they almost talk as if like, oh, if I'll check my availability to see. When actually a lot of time people are really looking for it. And whereas I've found recently that the more I'm open and honest with people about the fact is that I've had a shit year and I'm struggling, the more people have been willing to help me, and the more thing. And it's also made me feel better because also more people have said to me, I had that same thing 2 years ago, or I got through the same thing this year, or something like that. Like, a lot of people have said like they've been through it in the past, or they're going through it as well. And they're people who I didn't think would be struggling based on their social media content.
Yeah.
And that disingenuousness has an impact because everyone's there, and it's the Instagram problem of everyone's trying to make a show this happy life and look how fun I am on holiday. You ignoring the fact that you just had a massive blow up with your family 2 minutes before the picture was taken. But and it's the same thing on LinkedIn now, where everyone's kind of trying to put this air of success, and it just kind of, again, it feels quite icky. It feels like, oh, well, I don't really trust any of this. Like when people talk about how well their business is doing, I'm like, is it though, or is it just
Yeah,
you
because it
saying
doesn't
it?
it doesn't jive with all of the evidence that surrounds it, and it's sort of it's very, very selective what metrics are being used for
Yeah.
success now, because often the ones that you might have used in the past, like profit margins, are just now being very quietly sidelined, and we just don't talk about that because yeah,
Mm.
money. We're at the end of the day, work still needs to be done. We're all there's 8 billion of us on this planet. We all have needs. We all need things to be done, and even within marketing, there's always room to try and stand out and help your customers better find you. But it none of that all goes away, but it there's definitely we reached a period where like that is not as easy as it was before. And I think part of it is the fact that like a lot of businesses aren't particularly great at marketing. I'm not trying to like blow us up too much, but I think that the thing is like when everything's growing, especially when categories are growing in marketing, you or in categories are growing in the market, I should
Mm.
say, is it you don't have to market or present a lot of like you don't have to be very persuasive, because to a certain extent when a category is growing it sells itself, because the hype, the fame, the watching the number go up and to the right has a certain effect of convincing people that this is something worthwhile. But as
Mm.
soon as that goes round, as soon as they enter what is it, the Gartner thing about the trough of disillusionment, I think is what they like to call it, that's really the test about being like, who's actually put effort into being persuasive and who hasn't. And the
Yeah.
fact is of the matter is like, as human beings, we're not particularly great at being consistently persuasive.
Mm.
And or maybe we are, but we often don't understand the psychological mechanics behind it. And therefore, it seems like when it does work, it sort of feels like, oh, we kind of got lucky. And
Yeah.
maybe luck definitely has a certain thing into it, but knowing how to show up and do something consistently raises the chances of you being lucky by significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I think that's fair.
it's difficult. Now is a great time to figure out how to be persuasive, and I appreciate that's a probably a really challenging message for a lot of people, because it often is means that you have to kind of take a step back and think about, what am I doing on like a big scale, when really all you're thinking about is, are we going to still be in positive cash flow by the end of the financial quarter?
Yeah.
What do you think we could or should or probably will need to do better
So I,
or
I think,
differently?
I think we will have to learn more. Is kind of the kind of way to go. Looking at it is something that mentioned literacy earlier on, and that's something that I think is a big factor. It's something that actually I'm in the same theme of it. Is that I'm currently looking at offering some AI literacy training, because that's something I believe is going to be a huge thing next year. If I'm wrong, then that won't be a profitable side for me. But I think it will happen in some way or another. I think that right now we're in that thing of, oh, how exciting these chatbots things, but especially if things start to go wrong. People make mistakes. There are going to be more ramifications for blindly using technology like AI to do things. So the more people learn about how they work and learn about hallucinations and learn about fact checking and learn about which tools are better for what jobs and things like that, and just what these things actually mean. Like people, like a lot of people don't understand the difference between an LLM and an AI just using what it already knows versus actively going out and finding information live from
Mm.
reviews and Reddit and stuff like that. People will learn more about this stuff going into next year, and I think that's how people get more of an advantage over, especially in marketing. The more people understand the technology, the more people know how to get them more out of it, and people will decide, oh, I need to use an agent for this rather than just using the chatbot, or I need to do this. I think that's going to be the key thing, is that people learning about these technologies that are currently popular but misunderstood. The people who do well, and the people who are already doing quite well now, are the people who understand, like, there's something deeper. Like, the value of AI isn't, hey, generate a blog post. It's actually, hey, I've got an AI agent that goes and reviews my competition, or
Mm.
finds reviews constantly and gets feedback and stuff that we can feed into product. It's going to be those that kind of, it's going to be more of a, they're going to understand the deeper use cases and the deeper technology behind it, and they will learn how to use those better.
And I think there's something within that of realizing that I think that we need to get away from, don't maybe stop thinking about the tools in terms of doing the thing, using AI or any other digital tool for that matter,
Mm.
for things just because you've seen other people use them,
Yeah.
but have it come from a place of, what does the business actually need? Where are we weak? Where could we do with extra tooling? And then coming from that point, being like, all right, well, we know that we're not doing a great job of tracking touchpoint data, and there might be lots of reasons for that. But I think that would be a good place to start, for being like, oh, hey, well, we know that the sales team collects lots of information on prospective customers, but most of that isn't captured, or it's poorly recorded. Is there a possibility of being able to use AI or anything else to try and automate that, or make that just really dead easy for the sales team, so that they don't feel that they have to spend a lot of extra time out of their day? Because at the end of the day, the thing that often like kills people in that particular scenario is probably people having to very manually enter information into fields,
Yeah.
and often ones where, if they aren't necessarily coached beforehand on what it is that's really valuable, they put in information, but it may not actually be all that helpful or important, because you're focusing on the wrong things.
Yeah.
And I know that's definitely, that I think that's a big part of like the eternal struggle between sales and marketing, is that the sales often experiences and knows a lot of the things that are useful to marketing. But because sales doesn't have necessarily the same priorities or the same viewpoint as marketing, they capture data which is useful for them, but which marketing can't really use, because it's not focused on things in quite the same way.
Yeah, and
Different
that's what
viewpoint.
automation as well. Like you say, learning about automation, learning about how these technologies can be used to kind of actual solve real problems. You can bridge those gaps without it needing to kind of relying on the people changing their habits. You can kind of create systems in place that
Yep.
bridge these gaps for you and save you that time for you. And so, yeah, it's understanding the capabilities of, like, this year I've looked a bit at NA10, the automation tool, and that kind of plugs into everything. You can use that to plug into AI if you want to, but you can just plug straight into Google Sheets or into Slack or these things here. And
Yep.
it can be as simple as, every time a feedback form comes in, a review is made on your website, the right people are made aware of that happening.
Mm.
Those things that can add huge amounts of value. I think the more people learn and understand these tools, the more they can use these to solve real problems, rather than just the exciting, sexy problems that I think mostly being used for now.
Yeah, I know. Like for me, the one thing that I'm generally pretty open about as far as AI usage is, it's actually a pretty reasonable research tool, especially if you're, if the well, it's like the I think part of that comes from a place of Google having absolutely trashed the quality of its own search. But as well as, like, if you weren't used to looking for things in a keyword way, which is ultimately maybe a little bit unnatural, if you are from a background where you don't naturally think in keywords because you're not an SEO enthusiast, I think that some of the generative AI is great at being able to ask convoluted, long-winded questions of trying, like, I am trying to understand this but don't know how to properly frame it. And I
Yeah.
find that like the AI is often actually really good at helping clearing out and giving you that initial language for almost being like, I think what you're asking for is this. And I think that's often really helpful, especially because I think some people on a social level have a really hard time having that conversation with other people because they nobody really likes having to look really foolish and stupid in front of others, unless of course you're a copywriter, in which case that's our job. But yeah, being able to ask and saying like, there's this thing that I want to take an interest in, but I don't know a lot about it and I don't know how to begin searching for it, which happens a lot. There's always things, especially if you're like me and John, where we do work in tech, where there's always things that are new and that we often need to learn very quickly. It can be really helpful as like a first point of being like, all right, well, where do I begin to learn about this? Point me in the direction that I go, with the understanding that it might still hallucinate and initially point me in the wrong direction, but I should be able to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we will see more and more lawsuits this year from people not understanding this stuff. The more this technology is used, the more these new things, the more we'll see mistakes happen. Companies will go bust because they have misunderstood how technology works, or there's going to be a lot of things where people put too much trust in these tools without understanding them. And the people who educate themselves on it, people who understand the kind of actually how to get the most out of these things, will thrive. They'll get good value from it and stuff. But the people who don't will. And you've always seen a lot of people, like a lot of AI initiatives have already kind of not proven profitable because they've been rushed into. And so there needs to be a stop and learn step now before that kind of the next kind of wave comes in, because there'll be more initiatives. I mean, more things that people use, and day-to-day marketers will still use these tools, but they'll find better ways of doing it. And the people who take the time to learn about it will find better ways of doing it. The rest of them will, I think, get left like a lot of things. A lot of people get left behind, and like a lot of people still do outdated SEO tactics because they learnt it once and that's all they did and it worked once, and so they kept doing it. Whereas the people who make there's money in SEO, the people who still learn every day about the changes and things like that. I think that's what we'll see with these tools as well, is that new technology, you have to keep learning and understanding it to get the most out of it. And I think people need to embrace that and take the time to learn it.
I think as well, the other thing that needs to be said for anybody listening is that being critical of this tech and asking questions doesn't make you anti-tech.
Yeah.
And it often means it's like there's enormous potential. And often the thing that we're often end up find that we're arguing for is, despite the fact that we are the people that create the marketing, is you need to learn how to look past the marketing.
Yeah.
If you're going to get real value out of it. And it really comes down to you need to ask, like, what do I need help with as a person? Or what do we need help with as a business? And starting from that point, and then looking around and saying, like, all right, well, this tool might be right, but always going back to judging it from what are the real problems that we're actually dealing with, rather than trying to, in a way, like I find like some of the problems with the way that generative AI is presented is that they try to create problems that they think that businesses have. And I think that part of the reason why so many, especially at the enterprise level, why so many AI pilots fail is because they're trying to solve problems that don't actually exist.
Yeah.
And so therefore there's no measurable improvement in productivity or profit.
Yeah.
Certainly for that. The other thing, and this is something that I've seen a greater amount of in the IT and cyber sector, is just a move toward analog. And I can't believe that it's 2025 and the next wave of marketing might be the non-digital, which feels like a really wild thing to say.
It is, but it's not. I mean, I think so. I'm 38, so I'm in that core demographic of millennials who I grew up with a tape player, and I grew up with I grew up in a very analog world, and then as I was coming into adulthood or whatever, into teen years, technology exploded and all these things. And since then, we've seen everything, from the change of how phone, my first phone was a little Philips thing with a little flip out
Yep.
thing. And it was just, and you didn't text people, you just called people.
Yeah.
So what we have
Mine
now,
was a little Nokia. I bet you could bludgeon someone with it if you swung it really hard.
oh,
It was small by that point. It wasn't like those big '80s phones. It was small, but it was a solid brick of a phone.
I love the 5110. It had like a beautiful. I love the
Mm.
design of that thing. And so I'm someone who I've been so immersed in it. Right. I'm craving. I don't want to use LinkedIn anymore. I don't want to have to spend all my time in front of a computer anymore. I don't mind doing it for certain things, like when I'm writing. I love that there's no better technology than a computer for writing, but I have been looking a lot for dumb phones to do that and stuff. And it's not analog, but it's that step away from it. And the same thing that, like, talking to people, I'm hating instant messaging more and more because things get lost and people get missed, and there's a sense of, I've got ADHD. It's a problem sometimes when if you've messaged someone, you're waiting for a response, that's all you can think about for the next few hours. If they don't respond at all, it can ruin your day and things like that. And I kind of, all these things move away from it. And I think in marketing and in networking and things like that, I think you see the same thing, is that LinkedIn now, we talked earlier about how disingenuous it is. I've been to 2 conferences this year, and I haven't been to any conferences before, any marketing conferences before this year. And it was just nice talking to people. And I didn't go to the socials at night because I'm too socially anxious for that. But I had some nice chats with people. And I went to Brighton SEO, and I chatted to a guy who I've worked with for a few years. I've never met him in real life. And it was just lovely. We met up for breakfast beforehand, and we had a chat and we had a laugh and stuff. And I think we will see more of that in marketing generally, because I think it's just, you can believe it more. Everything on the internet is getting faker and faker, with AI, with just social media generally, with, like, everything feels like there's a bigger and bigger gap between the actual person themselves. Like, the Andrew people here on the podcast will be different to some degree to the Andrew they would see if they met you in the pub and I had a chat with you there. And so I think there will be more and more people coming together and kind of finding meetups and having conversations and going into offices, and that, because I think people want to trust. I think that it's easy to trust someone you've actually spoken to in real life. Whereas nowadays, it could be Andrew, you could be an AI video right now. You might not be even sat there. You might just be generated and just reading stuff off to me. And maybe I don't know. Maybe I think I would, but I don't. And that's kind of the point, is that it's, I know you're not, but people don't know anymore. When you get a phone call, it's not immediately clear. When you get a message, it's not especially clear. When you get these things, and so I can see analog being a huge thing, because I think trust is a huge thing, and I think we're running out of it a bit.
Yeah, and we're coming back to the point where it's like the only thing that you're really going to know is like if you see the whites of somebody's eyeballs in real life, and where you can't. It's just like if you have a beer with someone at the pub, they can't be using ChatGPT to mediate that whole conversation for you.
Well, unless they've got the meta glasses that they've got, like, maybe it's got a display coming up on screen.
It's just like so awkward. Oh man. Yeah.
Luckily,
anyways, best of luck to anybody that chooses to wear those.
From now on, you'll be like having a chat, like, hang on, let me just check your glasses first. Okay, cool. You can, let's carry on then, because it's that's kind of the point, is that, like, that's a cartoonish example, but it's like that's kind of the point, is that right now, if you message somebody, you don't know if what they're putting through. And like all email app I've got has got a thing where it's like, want me to draft the email for you? I'm like, no, fuck off. I'll write it myself, thanks.
I already know what I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not, and it's fine for certain things. Like, I know that, like, it's not cut and dry. Like, I've got friends who English is their second language, and so AI is helpful for them to communicate what they're trying to say. But there's still such a lack of genuine interaction, and so analog, in the same way that people are looking at dumb phones instead of smartphones, and people are trying to switch off, and the fact that I now use a tape player again for my music, despite the fact that I don't have a Spotify account, like, things like that, I'm moving away from, because I'm kind of, something deep inside me is going like, I hate all of this.
Yeah,
everything is quite a bit fake.
Because it flattens as well. It has a big flattening effect on the richness that is just being alive as a human being. And I think like the problem as well is that like so many of these platforms and tools have escalated the amount of flattening, where there's now less and less room for the spontaneous and random things that are just people being people bumbling about. And yeah, to go back to the disingenuous thing, is just like if it's all polished, it makes us all feel really uncomfortable because
Yeah.
we know on a visceral level that this is not how human beings are.
Yeah, something this is really grim. This is something that upsets me a lot. But so AI generated videos, there's tools now where you can like actually program yourself in, and it'll generate AI videos of you for social media and such. But they're having to program in mistakes and stutters and things like that to try and make it more like realistic, and which isn't that disgusting? That like the solution there isn't to fix the AI video, it's to just record it yourself. But instead, AI is having to find ways to be less flawless. So it's introducing flaws.
I wonder what the cost is related to that, because it's sort of like at that point being like recording, like doing a short video of myself on my phone is like has a trivial amount of cost to it.
Yeah.
But if you are having to now try and spend the time prompting an LLM to do that, and then have to spend extra engineering time working flaws in, how like the I can't imagine that like financially that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, the economics are fucked for it.
Yeah.
That's the economics of like a lot of technology thing. But it's just like a people. It's we talked about before about like there's two buckets of thing that technology does. One is it tries to solve problems that don't exist, and one is it solves, and like the winners long term are people who solve the problems that do exist. But like one, for example, is so Descript has a feature where like it makes you look like you have eye contact with the camera at all times.
Mm.
It like AI. It's software. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
using machine learning to do it. But a friend of mine accidentally left that setting on, and so we had this weird video he posted online where the second half of the video, his eye, like he was looking off to one side and his eyes were like flickering back and
I
all of a
thought it was just gonna
sudden,
be it's just gonna be him just dead staring into the camera
yeah,
without blinking ever.
and it's
Yeah.
so fucking weird. And then it's like, and so, but people think they want that. People are like, oh well, because looking at the camera is good for because eye contact builds trust and stuff. Yeah, but actually looking at the camera builds trust. No, if you're looking off, if you see my head looking around, but my eyes are stuck on the camera, why it looks so weird, and so it's solving problems that don't exist. And whereas, yeah, if you go to the pub or you go to a meetup or like a chat like this is great. It's very honest. It's far more analog than a lot of things nowadays are,
Mm.
and it's a lot more honest. But I think more and more people will want to hire people they have met in real life. They will want to work with people they've met in real life, and because there's an inherent distrust, right? Say you hire a freelancer. If I hire you remotely and I give you work to do, I don't know that you did the work yourself.
Yep.
And you could have in the past just kind of outsourced it to Fiverr or something, but you could just use AI now to do it as well. But for some reason, just having a conversation, it feels like it's harder to lie to me if we know each other in real life, if I've met you, things like that. And so I think people are going in that direction because I think trust is running out to be quite dramatic about it, and analog is kind of a remedy to that to some degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and certainly like the other thing is like now the concern is like you could actually be somebody employed as a hacker by the North Korean government, because that's the thing that apparently keeps happening within the tech sector is they keep hiring, they keep not checking people and then learning that in fact that they are not who they say they are. They're some guy working for like
Yeah.
for the North Korean government. So I think that like if we continue down this path, I can only see that getting worse. And at some point, you have to realize it's like maybe we should do something a bit different.
Yeah.
The last thing, because it seems I don't think it's particularly a hot take that we're probably heading into some kind of economic downturn, at the very least a recession next year, and how to continue to getting good mileage out of marketing. And the one thing that I really wanted to touch on here was that one of the things that I think gets missed a lot in marketing is its role in maintaining or growing profit margins within the business.
Yeah.
Because we're going in a downturn for most businesses, revenue is not going to grow. That's just the reality of it. But and I think part of the problem that I think people really struggle with is that they think marketing is primarily or only for growing revenue or market share. And both of those things are actually really difficult to accomplish with marketing. And that ultimately what you want to be focusing on is, and I think you mentioned this before, is that the businesses that focus on how to improve their profit rather than their revenue are the ones that ends up succeeding.
Yeah, you inherently like you. I think it's interesting because as freelancers, you get a unique perspective on it because as a freelancer, revenue is irrelevant compared to profit. It all it matters is that you can pay your bills and you have enough money to do the things that you live your life. Revenue is kind of but no freelancer going, my revenue was this month, but I couldn't pay myself because I also spent like that same like
Yep.
all of it is profit. Whereas and we both work a lot in tech, and tech is the worst for it. Where revenue, revenue, what a number to shout about. We made this much money last year. You want to go? Excuse me. Okay, how much did you spend though to make that money?
Yeah,
That's irrelevant.
and then you find out that they have like negative cash flow in the millions. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you have companies, and right now the biggest companies in the world are not making a profit. And the companies that are propping up the economy are not making a profit. They're just passing money between them, and revenues, like all the revenues going up and up, but there's no profit to be seen. And that only goes so far. And so what you end up with is that these companies will inevitably at some point have to stop because people will stop investing. And it gets to a point where, and like with the dot-com boom and things like that, is that we see eventually the bottom fall out because people go, well, we can't keep pumping money and making a loss just so an imaginary valuation can keep going up.
Mm.
And then the companies that do survive, as you said before, are the ones that just have profit, because profit, if you have a company that is making a profit, it doesn't matter whether it's £1 or whether it's £1 billion. A profit means all your employees are getting paid, you can keep going tomorrow, and your business will continue going for the foreseeable future. Whereas if you're making a loss, then it means that the moment people will stop giving you money to keep going, you die. And so you can invest as much as you want. It doesn't matter because inevitably you have to stop. And if you're not making money at that point, like in the past, like you see companies like WhatsApp, for example, hemorrhage money, but they were bought by Facebook because of the value of the data, effectively, and the user base. And they kind of saw value in other ways. But most companies don't have that, and especially companies that are already big. People like OpenAI is an easy example, and there's so many companies like that where, all they can do right now is keep paying the people at the top, and they keep pulling money out to make money, and those people will be fine when the bottom falls out. But when the bottom falls out, it's going to be everyone else that suffers. It'll be the employees, and it'll be the suppliers, and it'll be everyone else around it. Whereas, I'd much rather work for a small profitable company than the biggest company in the world that isn't turning a profit, because there will come a day where that no longer becomes viable.
Right. And then within that, the role of marketing within that should be finding ways of getting yourself known, getting yourself ideally liked, and so that like the whole point of marketing in this particular way of thinking is really about thinking about like, how can I save the time and effort and therefore the cost of all the other areas of the business, the amount of work that your sales team has to put in, the amount that your customer service team has to put in, the amount of time that your engineers have to put in order to be able to make so much money. And if marketing is doing its job, all of that should be easier because if marketing is doing its job, the ideal customer already knows who you are, already knows what your product is and what it is good for, and has already sort of essentially pre loaded all of that information that the customer really needs to know. So by the time they talk to a sales representative, you're already halfway there.
Yeah.
And therefore, now, like somebody was telling me this, like the average number of calls that a sales representative in tech has to make in order for the customer to get all the information they need is 4, which is
Yeah,
just a wild number to think about. Being like, I need 4 separate long phone calls with somebody to give them all of the information just so that they can make a decision. Now
yeah,
that's marketing not doing its job. Because if marketing is doing its job, then all of that information should have been aware and placed in somewhere where it would have been accessible for that customer to find it, so that by the time you get to the sales representative, that number of calls that needs to be made should be 1, maybe
yeah.
2.
And there needs to be a focus on ROI, and that's what it comes down to. Is that so? When it comes to marketing, people get illuminated by the fashionable thing or the new thing or the thing that they're being told is, oh, TikTok advertising is a new thing. Like, is it for you? Like, still, like historically, and it's something that some of I've mentioned, that the high ROI activity is email marketing, because somebody is already, for you to have their email address, as long as you're not cold emailing, they have to already be aware of you enough, have agreed to give you an email address. If they gave it in regards in
To
for a
give you
webinar or for
give
something
you the
else, but
consent to send you the email in the first
yeah,
place. Yeah.
they've already filled in a thing that said, hey, whatever it might be, I give you permission to get in touch with me. That becomes, if you have an email list, that's why the ROI of email is so much higher, because you've already qualified people to some degree. People who get your emails aren't the same as somebody who sees an ad. Like, you need to show like 1,000 times as many people an ad on Instagram than you do send an email for the same value, because on Instagram people swipe past ads. Emails, it comes right to your inbox and it's a name you recognize because you've already consented to that email being sent to you. So you've already said, yeah, in exchange for this thing, sure, send me an email, or I signed up for a demo or whatever it might be. And so you've got to look at those avenues, and that all comes down to marketing. You need to kind of, right, okay, how do you build that up so that when you do have something to sell them, they are willing to listen? And it can't just be cold emails, because as much as they are used to think, that's, again, it's a volume game. Whereas good positioning, building a list, building a reputation, building some trust, and just making it so that when you do want to sell to them, you're not going in blind, you're not going in cold. They've
Hmm.
already got that's how you get ROI, and that's how you get more profitable, because then it takes much less money to get the sale.
John, if people
Yes.
wanted to find out more about you or get in touch with you on the internet, where do they go?
Well, they can follow me on LinkedIn, which is like linkedin.com/ that writer John. We just search Jon McGreevy. You can, for my copywriting and positioning business, johnmcgreevy.com. You can email me if you want to chat about anything. It's
Right.
john@johnmcgreevy.com. And
Yeah.
also, best case, the problem is, best
Best
case
case.
studio is my new thing, but the URL is actually bestcasestud.io, which is a flawed URL. It does imply that I'm the stud. I'm not. It's a play on words with studio. It works better written down than it does out loud. But if you're looking for
Right.
case studies like that, you can contact me there.
That's
We
fair enough.
currently have 50% off for the rest of the year, which, if it goes out at the end of the year, that might be a week. So,
Yeah.
get in touch.
And then next year you mentioned you were starting the new literacy
Yeah, so I'm doing
programs.
AI literacy trainings. This is something I'm working out with, actually, with my wife and my dad. First time I work with my dad on anything business wise. It might go terribly, but
Right.
AI literacy is a problem that I've seen coming up, and I'm in a unique position as a communicator and as a technologist to provide some training. So we'll be doing corporate training to help companies to just teach their employees to use AI more responsibly, more effectively, and just have that education that we talked about before, about understanding what is actually happening rather than just kind of blindly using these tools.
Cool. Thanks very much, John. And thank you very much for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can find me on LinkedIn at AG Monroe, or search Andrew Monroe. You're looking for the B2B copywriter for technical brands. You can also send me an email at andrew@andrewmonroe.com. Thanks very much for listening. Have a wonderful rest of 2025, and hopefully see you again next year. Bye.